What's going on, Dricus? It's a big fight, right? I mean, you've been working towards this moment, number 10 versus number 5, UFC pay-per-view. I mean, ESPN portion, but T-Mobile Arena. I mean, just what's the emotion around this fight right now?
Well, you know, it's coming to light finally. You know, it's coming to light, and in the beginning of my UFC career, like we had COVID, we had a lot of things, we had opponents pulling out. And now it seems like that bumpy road is out of the way, and I'm getting that fight. You know, I think this is fight number 3 in the last 7 or 8 months, and that's beautiful, and that gets me to fight in the top 5. After this fight, you know, there's nothing else than fighting for that number 1 contender spot, and I'm so happy to be here. It feels like Vegas is my second home now, and the fact that they bring me here every time for the biggest events. You know, it puts a stamp on my work, and I'm really happy about that.
You mentioned that, right? It was so hard for you to get fights, and now you're fighting so frequently. I mean, is there any downside to that at all? Like, I mean, between the travel back and forth, the camps that you got to put in, I mean, has this been a difficult pace for you to keep up at all?
No, not at all. No, not at all. You know, I always say, especially when you're a bit further back in the rankings, you need to work to get to where you want to be. I'm not a guy that came into the UFC as a youngster. Well, not an older guy, but I didn't come into the UFC that I needed to build myself up. I needed to find my feet in the octagon for sure. But I had 3 world titles outside of the UFC. I was a K1 amateur world champion before turning pro in MMA. I'm used to the competition, so once I got my shot, I knew I wanted to go at this fast. I wanted to climb the ladder as fast as possible, fighting the best possible guys, and not refusing any fights. You know, if you can't beat this guy now, what do you want to do when you're champion? I want to beat whoever they put in front of me, and I have been doing that. When they phone and say, we have an opponent for you, this is the guy. I've only fought guys ranked above me. I've said yes, and let's climb the ranks. And here I'm coming to top 5, and I'm absolutely ecstatic about that.
What were your thoughts when the name that they gave you this time was Derek Brunson? The guy's been in the UFC for a decade plus. I mean, were you watching this guy along the way, on your way up?
Yeah, absolutely. Derek Brunson is a legend of the sport, and you know, he's fought. I actually said it yesterday. Like, this guy defended every single takedown Yoel Romero threw at him. This guy took Yoel Romero down, an Olympic gold medalist, 4 times. This guy's a legend. This guy has only lost in his past over the past 3 years, against 3 or 4 years, I'm not sure, Adesanya and Cannonier. No shame in that. But, you know, once again, that's a testimony of what the UFC thinks of me. This is what the part they're giving me. And when they phone me, you know, since we've trained together, when I'm in the United States, I train down in South Florida at Dricus du Plessis, and it was almost like, that's kind of weird, like how things worked out. Out of the 10 guys in the top 10, that's the guy they're picking, but it's an opportunity I can't say no to. And at the end of the day, it's nothing personal, it's just business when we get in there.
Last thing for me, I think you kind of touched on it, but again, you beat number 5, that's huge, and I think you have the added benefit of being kind of a fresh name in a division that's had the same names at the top for quite some time. So a win here, I mean, do you feel like a number 1 contender fight is too soon? Do you feel like there's more? I mean, what do you think you should deserve or should get with a win here?
What more is there than fighting for that belt? That's what I'm here for, and you know, the more will come when I defend it. The more will come when I go up weight division and fight for another belt. When I defend my middleweight belt, become the greatest middleweight of all time. You know, that's a very, very high standard to set for yourself, but that's where I'm at. I don't have any other goals than being the greatest to ever do this. And I'm so happy to be in this situation, but I'm not very surprised. This is what the plan was, and it doesn't take away how exciting it is and how happy I am to be here every single time. It's just, every time I look at it, I'm just think, damn, I love my job.
Dricus, over here. Obviously, your past few opponents, they tend to like to keep the fight standing, and they're complete MMA fighters, but they like to strike. Derek, like you said, high-level wrestler, took Yoel Romero down. Are you happy with this type of opponent to showcase the rest of your skill set rather than just fighting strikers in the middleweight division?
Yeah, absolutely. I knew that was coming. I knew they were going to eventually send me, because they've been giving me strikers the whole time. I knew they were going to give me a wrestling, grappling type of guy. Obviously, the fight with Munez was one they wanted to do way back, and that fight had to be cancelled. But right now, yes, this is basically a test to see how I do with somebody else that's not a striker. That's not a striker, and see the rest of my game. And I'm absolutely so happy to showcase that I'm not only a striker, I'm not only a grappler, I'm not only a wrestler. If you're a wrestler, wrestle me and see how it goes. I'm extremely excited to go out there and prove that wherever this fight goes, I'm ready for it.
Did you have to change your camp at all compared to the last few, knowing that Derek does have that threat that he's always shooting for your legs and wrestling? He likes to wrestle in it?
Yeah, I mean, it's something you take note of. My opponents don't really dictate how I train and how I think about a fight. At the end of the day, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do. Obviously, we take note of that, and you bring in the guys that can wrestle a little bit more. Your camp gets based, your training partners does try to take you down a little bit more often, and you do prepare for those situations a little bit more, 100%. Against Darren Till, I wasn't preparing for a guy shooting at my legs that often. But fighting a guy like Derek Brunson, that's something you have to consider. So yeah, definitely we made the changes to be a bit more equipped for this fight, but nothing major, nothing out of the ordinary, just getting wrestlers, just wrestling for this camp. That's not the way MMA works, that's an old mentality.
There's other middleweight fights on this card, but you're still below the debuting Bo Nickel, who's on the pay-per-view, you're on the prelims. Did you view that as any sort of like disrespect, or do you understand that like Bo is very popular here in America?
Yeah, as a wrestler, but at the end of the day, maybe when I fight for the belt, I can open up the card on the early prelims. I've been getting performance bonuses almost every fight, putting up amazing performances, and they boot me down to the undercard. But really, just give me in the fight, and I win my fight. That's what I'm here for.
The final one, they've announced the rematch for Izzy and Alex. How do you see the rematch playing out?
Yeah, I honestly think Izzy is taking the rematch. I think it's almost like if this is the last thing I'll do, I'm going to win Alex Pereira. And I think Alex Pereira has achieved in his mind. This is all just speculation that I've come to another sport and beat Izzy for a third time. He's proven what he needed to prove, and I don't know if he still has that hunger. I'm not saying he doesn't, I'm just saying I don't know, but I think for Izzy, this is something that this means more to him than ever being UFC champion.
Quickly going off of that, like we talked to Izzy when he was in Perth, and he said like this rematch means more than the belt. Do you think that's the right attitude to bring into a fight against a guy that's already beaten you 3 times?
Yeah, I think Izzy of old was a lot. He almost left it all in the cage. If you will, he didn't protect the belt. You could see it at the end of his title reign. It was almost like he was defending that title. He wasn't fighting to win fights. So I think that's a good mentality for him, and I hope he can impose that.
Hey, Dricus, your last opponent, Darren Till, was granted his release from the UFC. I just want your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it sucks to see that. I don't know what the whole situation is. I saw he made a comment on social media saying he asked for his release, so he needs to figure some stuff out. So, hopefully it's the case, and I do believe Darren Till can still make one hell of a run at this if he goes down to 170.
That's what you said last time, I guess, that you feel like he's a welterweight. Being in there with him, do you still feel like he needs to go back down to welterweight?
No, I know he needs to go down to welterweight.
And another card with fighting with Cameron. I just wanted to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome for us. It's massive for South African MMA. It's massive for African MMA. It's massive for the UFC wants to do Africa really, really bad this year, and I think it's massive for the both of us. We're representing a flag, we're representing a whole country, and even though it's going to be for him maybe 1 or 2 a.m. and for me 4 a.m. we're going to have a whole country on their feet. Everybody going absolutely crazy. The unity, the vibe that's going to bring us is absolutely awesome. I'm actually jealous that I have to be here and not there.
Awesome, thanks, man.
Dricus over here. Back.
Yep.
Dricus, out of curiosity, is the C on your coat for Cameron's son?
Let's say so.
And then obviously this time last year, 3 African champions. That has obviously changed. Is it a little does it bum you out? There's not as much gold potentially going back the next time they go, or do you see this as an opportunity? Now you do get to be the guy if and when they show up to Africa.
Well, I mean, did those belts ever go to Africa? As far as I know, it came to America and New Zealand. I'm going to take a belt to Africa. I'm the African fighter in the UFC. Myself and Cameron, we breathe the African air. We wake up in Africa every day. We train in Africa, we're African born, we're African raised. We still reside in Africa, we train out of Africa. That's an African champion, and that's who I'll be.
Thank you.
Hey, Dricus, right here. Just kind of going off what everybody else said, does it kind of feel like Cam Simon is like the little brother that your mom makes you bring everywhere with you now?
Well, you know, it definitely feels like a little brother, but Mom doesn't have to ask me to bring him. You know, it's an absolute honor to have him with me. He's an incredible guy. We're amazing friends. We train together every day. We've been doing that for many, many years. And it's so cool to share this with him, and he shared it with me. He was at my debut before, way before he was even considered for the contender series. I think he was 1-0 as a pro. And to see his journey is absolutely awesome. You know, it's a testimony of what we do at our team back home. It's not only me. I'm not a freak of nature out of my team fighting this weird style that people have been saying, and I'm winning fights luckily and great. No, it shows that the system we're doing, look at Cameron, he's an incredible athlete. And he's coming from the same gym, same coaching, same system. Team CIT, we are doing the things right. We are doing things different, but it's working. And it's incredible to see, and it's awesome to share my journey and his journey with each other.
And you and I have talked about South Africans, you know, work hard, play hard. I was told to ask you, if you're drinking out of your right hand and I call Buffalo, what happens?
Well, I mean, rules are rules, right?
So, for anybody that doesn't know, what happens?
I'm gonna down that faster than anybody you've ever seen.
Appreciate it, bro.
Dricus over here. You know, you're number 10 in the middleweight rankings. You're a minus 250 favorite against number 5. And how does that feel that, you know, while the rankings may not support that, quote unquote, you're the better fighter, obviously the odds makers believe you are? Yeah,
that's always great. You know, the odds, to me, it doesn't really matter, but it is, you know, a tap on the shoulder to know that people are starting to realize, like, this guy, random guy coming out of South Africa is not just a fly-by-night, got that lucky punch, got another lucky punch. No, they start taking me seriously, and they know that I can hang with the best in the world.
You made a comment earlier that Vegas is starting to feel like a second home. Obviously, Vegas is one of the best cities in the world. Yeah, anything in Vegas you particularly enjoy besides fighting?
I love the pizza, I love the beer, and that's all I have to say about that.
Sounds good. Last question for you. Main event, obviously John Jones, one of the greatest fighters of all time, headlining the card you're getting to fight on. You know, do you have an opinion on how that fight's going to play out?
Yeah, absolutely amazing. You know, I said John Jones, the return. When I heard that's happening, I got offered the fight on this card before I knew that John Jones was returning. I just had a feeling. I said, I think that's the card. They're going to make him return. Like I really want to be on that card. It's great. And it's a massive honor for me. Like I said, I was on the Dustin Poirier Conor 3 card. I was on the Adesanya Cannonier card. I was on some of the best cards ever. It's been absolutely awesome to be on those cards. Every card I've been on, except for my debut, was a massive pay-per-view event here at the Team Howell. So, yeah, I think the greatest John Jones will be victorious. I think he has enough tools, and you know, it's almost. But it's also one of those fights where you don't know. You know, it's like you have to wait for it. You know, 3 years is a very long time. And I don't think he's a guy that's going to struggle with ring rust. I just think, you know, the game changes, and it changes fast. Especially these past, like, 2 years, you can see, like, every event you see, like, wow, people are just adapting so quickly, and the game is changing. And this game waits for no man. So that's going to also be a factor. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does the adjustment. I believe he had enough time at the weight that he's at to be comfortable there. But it's going to be interesting to see. But I do believe that, you know, he has the fight IQ and all the necessary tools to make the adjustments needed.
Dricus, welcome back to your home away from home. Does it get easier as it progresses to acclimate to Vegas, adjust to Vegas, all that fun stuff that it is from training so far with?
Yeah, I guess it gets familiar. It gets familiar. It's good that it gets familiar. I'm starting to know the town, starting to almost go through the paces once you get here. It's not a struggle to arrange to go to the PI to get a car rented, get accommodation, because I have to be here quite early because we have a 10-hour time difference. So for me, it is absolute necessity for me to be here at least 10 days from the fight to be able to climatize 100%. So at first needing to sort out the accommodation, the rentals, everything, the training, everything you need. And by now everything is sorted. We know how to deal with it. We know how to deal with it, and it gets easier and it gets more fun every single time.
Excellent. And last for me, you mentioned the wrestling and repairing properly. I saw a little damage in the left eye. Is that hard sparring or what?
Yeah, I mean, we go hard on earth, man. No, I'm saying the left eye was just a little blood vessel. It's been there for a couple of weeks, nothing serious. Obviously I had it checked out, so it's just a little blood vessel, it happens.
Excellent. Thank you, sir, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, everybody.